Hello guys and welcome to another lookout video. This time we have the top 16 placing Peter Dance. Hi Peter.
Hello.
As you can see, we have the Vegeks in the top cut, and this is one of the most imposing not messages, pictures I found of the Vegeks that are not actually printed on the card itself. So how are you, Peter?
Yeah, I'm doing not too bad, to be honest, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm fine. We're
Yeah.
gonna go to sponsor messages so we can actually start speaking about the deck, of course.
Card Market is Europe's largest platform for all TCGs. Always find the right cards by buying and selling them across Europe with other players and collectors. Be it singles, boosters, booster boxes, or any other accessories, you name it. Card Market is the place to get them safely, securely, and readily available.
If that wasn't obvious enough, Card Market is one of our sponsors, our only sponsor, except our own wallets. So now we're going to go to Peter's deck list. So, Peter, what do you have to say about the deck list, about the choice of the deck, and how was your experience during the day?
Yeah, sure. So I think Vegeks is a very strong deck. I mean, I know when before me and Chris sort of brought it back in PWG's finals, I think a lot of people forgot about Vegeks because I think a lot of people remember obviously the old Vegeks, which was incredibly strong, and I think a lot of people sort of slept on it for a while. But I think it's like one of the best decks in the format, and I think it will just carry on getting better, personally.
Personally, yeah. I mean, it's good for the best of one because it's really explosive. It's sometimes the detrimental aspect can be the roulette factor, but generally speaking, when you have a deck list like yours, I don't see how it cannot actually top or be at a top placing place.
Yeah, well, a lot of work's gone into it. I mean, it mostly started well back when we did the PPG finals, which was what a couple of weeks ago, and me and Chris came second and fourth. And funny enough, Dark Brawley came first and second, which back then I thought was Vegek's like hardest matchup. I feel like I've played a bit different now, and I feel like Dark Brawley's not as difficult as it was. It's still obviously incredibly strong, but yeah, I think with Vegex it started there, and then we've been working on it.
What's
Um,
the? I'm sorry to interrupt you. What's the different part of you playing it? How has your playstyle changed?
so I would say the styles change based on how to be aggressive and not aggressive. So like against the Dark Brawly matchup, for example, I think I was playing too aggressive at times. So it's just a case of like recognizing when it's best to overwhelm as well, because that's a crucial point, and what to overwhelm and which like cards to keep. So I think it's changed in like that respect on to control the aggression and also when to sort of shoot, so to speak.
So what was your experience? What decks did you play, and what decks did you not see? What actually helped you top?
Yeah, sure. So my first matchup was against Red Brawley, which, to be fair, I've never felt has been difficult for Vegeks. Like I think the aggression is too much, and if you obviously start with something like Black Mass saying, it slows down, and that's exactly what happened. So his turn one, he had to play the Unison. So, and then from there, it's like it feels like it's not a problem. And then obviously with cards like Massane, which you can get rid of the blockers, or I've got like the mirrors for the double strikes or the Bardocks. I feel like you can be too aggressive against Red Brawling. I don't think he can deal with that. Um, and then I played against three Dark Brawlies in total. And like I said earlier, I generally felt like that was a super difficult matchup for Vegex. But I beat two of the three I played against.
What
Um,
is the difficult aspect of playing against that Broly?
I think if it goes too late in terms of like turn three, turn four onwards, Dark Brawly starts getting the advantage because they're just getting a massive hand. They're getting big board presence. They're warping your stuff consistently. And again, they're hitting you with 30k. So if you want to defend that, you've got to spend some cards, and then you just start losing your hand. You got to discard one for your unison, then they warp a card with their I call him Orange Dark Brawly. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know his name.
Nobody
Um,
does actually.
Yeah, he's just
It's
orange Dark
Kyle.
Brawly.
It's Kyle.
Yeah. So you just start losing cards, and obviously Dark Brawly, I think, just keeps hitting you, and he can do basically what you do, but he's hitting you with double strike 30Ks, or sorry, 40Ks technically.
So if he doesn't pump the 30k with a Kai, let's say, what would be a good measure of defense? So would you play the Majin Buu's extension attack and combo with a card more, or what would you actually do while defending? Just slip it through, or what?
It depends on my life total. Like before, when I used to play that matchup, I would aggressively take life with my one drops, because I'd normally do that against a lot of matchups. But then what I was doing with the Dark Brawlies I was playing with was kind of letting them hit me. So get down to like 5 life and then just literally go off, because then I can awaken under my turns. And ideally, if I can make him awaken under my terms, so let's say, again, rather than going like, drop one, drop attack, 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 attack consistently on like turn 1, turn 2, just get them down to 6 life, and then they've got to choose, do they go down to 5 or stay at 6? So then when I start my turn, let's say they're at 6, that's when, the Bardock uh, dual attack is going to come out, or like the mirror, and then I'm start like putting pressure on. So I go 5 to 3 because they're not defending that. And then the idea is to make them awaken on your turn. So you've got to make sure you've got enough attacks. And again, if you're lucky enough to have 2 Chompers and a Bardock, the SS4 Bardock, that's like quad strike,
Yeah.
basically. And you're just putting that pressure on. And again, obviously I run the lineage SCR, which again is amazing because what I did against one of the Brawlies was he Nimbused me, well, the Bardock Nimbus, and then he attacked me. And he had a blocker on the field, so obviously he's feeling safe. He's got nothing else to play. And then obviously I just stole his blocker during the battle stage. So now, yes, I've only got one battle card swing, but I'm going to be summoning, say, a mirror, which is a double strike 30k before I even like bump it up. And that's huge. So I think it's stuff like that. I think it sets the difference between.
Little hues actually of experience and technicalities you do as you play along.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Heron's lineage obviously performed well. What were the other matchups?
So there was against Cell Surge, which was your deck, which I did lose to. But to be fair, I learned a lot from that matchup, and I think that was my own fault. Even though it did well, it was at the Australian event, I think it was.
Yes, the
Uh,
last one.
yeah, I didn't like play test against it, so I had no idea how hand control works versus Vegeks. So with a lot of the other matches, I've played tons of those. I know how that works, but I've never played against hand control as Vegeks, so I had no idea like how that matchup works. Um, so I think that's something. I lost that match, but it's something I didn't practice for, so I deserve to lose in that respect. So going forward, it's definitely something I still need to practice against and learn how I can deal with hand control.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
the thing is that the deck is actually a rogue deck, and a hand control in a
mm,
best of one format, in a best of one environment, is really funny, and it's one of the hand controls decks that actually you're really passive at the beginning. You don't attack, you
yeah,
don't do nothing, you just kind of are there. But when you start being more progressive, that's the moment when the balls get rolling. That's actually, yeah, that's the thing that can be more difficult to a player. What would you recommend to Vegeks players who play against hand control decks now?
it's probably a bit too early for me to say because I haven't had the opportunity to properly test against it yet. I mean, to be honest, um, I don't have anything right now. I think other than maybe there's that new. I mean, fair enough, it's set 13, which is obviously just around the corner, but there's that obviously black card.
Yeah, the Dabura
Um,
card.
yeah, yeah. So you can either look at those. I mean, or it may be in the side deck those the 4-drop boos
Hmm.
from set 10, is it? I think it
Yes.
was. And maybe just get advantage like that, and also don't waste combo power. I think I made some decisions on which cards to drop when you were making me discard. I thought they were the right decisions at the time. Like there was some super combos because I was thinking, oh, I'm going to lose my hand anyway. So I think there's stuff like that. I think it's deciding when to combo out and when not to. But I don't. I honestly I haven't learned that enough yet. So
Yeah, the thing is that it's a tricky situation because when you attack when I attack with a critical attacker, you have the option to use a super combo. If you lose a super combo, then actually I gain the advantage there. So, but then again, if you take the crit, you just go a life down. So it's
yeah,
never actually a happy situation.
I think. Oh, sorry, Karen.
No, it's okay. I was just about to say that in the best of three situation, you would have a lot of more time to prepare and put cards in it.
Yeah, I think looking back, I think one of the mistakes potentially I made was I think I took too much of my own life potentially because I'm so used to like taking it all and then just attack, attack, attack. So I think even though it's nice because you take obviously a card and you gain that, I think looking back, I think if I because I think it felt like the longer the game went, the slowly I was getting quite a bit of advantage. But
And that
then
is true because,
it kind of because I draw I think more than you
of
overall, I
course,
guess.
after I awaken, I don't draw cards. So every card draw is 2 energy for me,
Yeah.
which is using the draw ape. And if I see just one of them, then I basically don't do anything else. But yeah, that's the thing. If the game drags longer, then the opponent actually gets the advantage more.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that's how you probably do that game.
yeah.
And then I think my last game was Majin Vegeta.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was Majin Vegeta, which to be honest, like I generally don't have a problem with that matchup because you've got your trunks and you can combo tons. I think the problem with people with Majin Vegeta is I don't think they play clever enough against it. So they'll like tap out turn one or something like that, or it's a bit like if you're playing against Mecha, just don't tap out. So you play a turn behind. And the same principle, I think, with Margin Vegeta. Like, in my case, obviously, as Vegeks, I've got like the blockers and stuff, which will help me out. And I've got a lot of combo power. But again, similar thing, he played the slug. He brought out the slug, and then I just warped his slug and then just, attacked his leader and what have you. So,
Yeah,
um,
his weakness is that when you remove the slug, he doesn't have the 4-drop slug actually to put you in a position where you are blackmailed literally to kill your unison.
yeah,
And people are the overhyping of Majin Vegeta. I mean, the deck is not bad, just to say it first, but when people were overhyping it in a manner that you can't play against it because it's so oppressive, I don't know. Well, don't stick to your literal game plan and tap out on turn one, as you said. Just make a compromise and try to win the game from another point of view, not mulligan for I don't know what to play it on turn one.
and also another thing that's just a little tip that I personally found is even though you're an aggressive deck like Vegeks, there's times when it's right not to attack. And I think people forget about this sometimes. So like with Margin Vegeta, you look at this logically. Let's say he's gone for because in this case he did win the dice roll. Um, if you attack him, let's say you attack him twice, he's down to 6. He attacks with leader, he's all of a sudden awaken range. Now if you don't attack him, he has to have 2 1-drops to awaken that turn, and then he needs to take life. So, but then he spent 2 mana to do that. Where if you've attacked him and say got him down to 6, for example, he swings at leader, he can awaken now, and he's not used any of his mana yet.
Yeah.
So then he can use his mana for searches and whatever else. Where if you don't attack him, which I didn't, I just literally played my stuff and just ended.
Yeah, you don't have to attack because your leader draws a card whatever. Yeah, because
Yeah,
he's existing.
exactly. And I think sometimes people like they get in that mindset of just like this is what my deck does, and that's what's happening. But actually, not attacking is the right thing. And to be fair, I probably learned that from all the evoker stuff I played. Because again, if you're against launch, you just don't attack launch. Fair enough, with a control deck, it's a little bit different. But I kind of taken a lot of that kind of stuff I learned from playing invoker, and I've applied it to also Vegeks as well in the right matchups. So.
Yeah, but the thing is that you play invokers, so you'll know how to beat yourself.
Yeah, yeah, but there's sadly pretty much very little invoker players as a whole.
Uh-huh.
But there you go.
Yeah. So can you talk about some of the deck choices? You played two Demigras because you have only two, or because you thought that two will be enough?
No, I've got four. I mean, because again, it's best of one, so I had to make some cuts.
Hmm.
So what I did with this one is, because I feel, first of all, I feel like 10 overwhelm is the right number in the deck, because that's also what I played in best of three. So the way I approached this was the Bardock, the SS4 six drop, was my main overwhelm for win condition because it's a dual attacker that you can chuck a double strike on, and then all of a sudden, it's doing 3 or 4 damage. So for me, that's my main overwhelm. And then the other overwhelm, so Demigra, Mira, and Masayan, they're what I call tech options. So in the case of Margin Vegeta, I need to walk the slug. So I can either do that with Demigra or Masayan or again Red Brawley. Again, they are what I call tech options. And they will just, if you're doing best of one with Vegeks, I feel like those are the cards you would side in and out depending on the meta. So that's why I did two Demigra, because I like Demigra against like launch, blue decks, Shenron, and it's one of those things where like you could cut it out or you could increase it to 4, but then you would then lose out on your tech. Like sometimes Mira's just too good because again you draw a card and untap one, so you can be offensive, and it's 30k. So you draw a card, so it replaces itself, and then you end your turn and it's untapped one. So you've spent no mana to do 30k double. Sounds good.
It was like a card that was printed for the heroine's lineage to make it in the defense step.
Exactly. It's amazing, and I think that's why again there's different versions because I on the last card market I played a more kind of like I did 3 Massayans and I did no Miras and I did 4 Demigras. And then Chris, my teammate, he ran probably more similar to this, where it was a bit more sort of a lot more Miras. And we both sort of felt that his version was the stronger version. So I kind of took the same approach as that and just thought, you know what, I actually want 2 of each tech card. Instead of going in one direction or another. But normally it would be 4 Demigras in the main, normally. If it was best of 3.
What do you think about the Goku one drop? Is it one of the strongest one drops that was printed for black?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Obviously, as an Invoker player, I play against Chris, who plays Vegeks a lot, and even when he's on Dark Brawly. And this card is the bane of my life. Absolutely hate it. It's like I wish it wasn't printed.
I know
I mean,
that's one of the reasons why in locals when I play the Invoker I still have two coolers in it so
yeah,
I can kill it without countering
it,
it.
it's crazy, absolute crazy. And the blue one's not too bad. The Vegeta one, the one that stops you on tapping, that hurts as well. But like you'll never main deck that. So best of 3, yeah, you could put it in the side, no issues, but you'll never main deck that as a choice. So yeah, but obviously Black Mass saying, just as a side note, obviously amazing, it always has been.
Yes.
But obviously Goku, because literally everyone has counters, so and his counter skills, and obviously just jumping forward to set 13, obviously we got the new TP promo coming out, which makes yeah Vegeks even stronger, and then that card will play a part in that as well.
Yeah,
So
the Goku one drop is kind of like King Piccolo's answer to counters, so it punishes the opponent for literally playing the game.
yeah, and it's a self awakener, so it's got 2 uses. You can pick it up with your power burst. So yeah, amazing card, and I wouldn't dream of ever not having it. It's that good.
Yeah. What would you think about two intimate questions now? What do you think about the best of one format for a qualifier for Nats? And what do you think about the people hoarding invites?
So the just jump into the hoarding invites. How do you mean by hoarding invites? Like,
I mean, like topping
because
every
they don't
single.
pass down
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
Do you?
topping every single event and just having them.
Yeah, I think
How will they play it? I mean, if someone has four invites, will they can they put the invite to their mother or sister, so they have to have four computers to play it, or what?
yeah. Well, it's an interesting question, is I think it's a difficult one. I like when they roll down. I think there's two train of thoughts in there. You've got the option where you should have earned, so to speak, earned it by winning the event or getting top 16 or whatever. But then I think it's also very nice when it gets rolled down, because if somebody isn't working good in the meta at that point in time, or they had some bad matchups, qualifying for a bigger event, I think, is a nice thing, even with pass downs, if you like. So personally, I'm a fan of pass downs, and I wish they were on this time, but for whatever reason they decided not to. So yeah, I think that. And then just talking about the best of one format, yeah, I'm not a fan. Like for me, it's weird. I prefer best of three. Obviously, I think most people do, and I think that's when more the skill level comes in. Or obviously, because side decks play a huge part. So I think with best of one, like what is good about best of one, as a side note, is I think it's more casual for people that might want to just dibble into the game a little bit or doesn't really play in many tournaments. So I think that's where best of one shines for those people that be like, you know what, I just play 6 games and then that's it, I'm done. I don't need to think about a side deck or whatever. But I think when it comes to a competitive level, I think best of one is pretty rubbish in that respect, because there's just no, it's just like you say, if you're against Margin Vegeta, if you win the roll, dice roll or not, that's a huge difference. You can't recuperate from that. Where as best of three, you've got your side deck, which will help your weakness on both parts, obviously.
Yes.
So yeah, best of one. I mean, I'll enter them because it's tournaments and I enjoy playing. But like, the problem is you won't see the deck. Like, I'm not going to play Invoker in best of one. Like, no way.
Yeah, you can try, but no.
I mean, some people do find it, all right, and it works for them. But yeah, the only downside is I feel like other than Mecha and Blue Baby, control decks have no like real place in best of one.
Yeah, but even Mecha has to be a more aggro build to actually be in a top cut, so it can be the usual control version. Regarding Invoker, whoever ever topped with Invoker in the best of one tournament, the matchups were obviously so good that it cannot be even imagined. Because when I played it in the first card market tournament, the matchups were terrible. But then when you look at the list of the decks that were there, you were just wondering why didn't I play against any of those decks. But yeah, but it kind of becomes like a salty issue and a personal grudge. But the randomness of everything is just funny. So you just have to play aggro, and that is the only way you can play best of one. I don't know if you looked at my video, the last one with Mert, where we discussed for over an hour on things. Best of one should get a limited or banned format of its own.
Yeah, yeah. It should have its own. I mean, obviously we've got the Gohan, which obviously is
Hmm.
banned. But yeah, 100% it should have its own setup. But I suppose the difficult thing is finding that, because it's like, how much bans do you do? And then I think the list for best of one ban list would actually be bigger than best of three, um, potentially, because obviously, like, you could argue that, let's use Margin Vegeta as an example. Like, that deck can kill a lot in turn two. Like, is that okay? Are we okay with this? Where in best of three, it's not even around, is it?
Yes.
So it's a bit like that. But then yeah, there's certain decks that only exist in best of one as well. So it's a case of like trying to find that balance. So I don't know. I think it needs I think best of one can be good. But I think, as a side note, actually, one thing that we should massively change is the time, like, to lower it.
Yeah.
100% it should be lowered, mate. I don't like. I'm a big believer that if you give someone 50 minutes, they will take 50 minutes if they really need to. Like, there's some games that, unless you're playing Hatch versus Hatch or something, no game should be going, even with webcam issues or webcam speed. Hey, they shouldn't be going 50 minutes.
If they're going 50 minutes plus 10 with time, then we can literally play a best of three format.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I know in PBG we played best of three with, I think it's 60 and then 10 minutes,
Hmm.
and that was fine.
Yeah.
So if they want to do best of one, fine, but let's lower it down to like 40 minutes or 30 minutes. You shouldn't need 50 minutes because
No.
control doesn't really exist in best of one in the same manner.
I don't know how it can last that long, but then again, when we play on the tournaments, we can see that some players literally played the game for an hour. So whatever happened there, I have no idea. Even some of my friends from the lookout played that long of a game and then just broke out in a tie, or I don't know. Sometimes there's judges issues that can be. I wanted to say issues like a British person, so I used issues at the end. My brain bricked a bit. But yeah, so it's an anomaly when it actually lasts for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it happens on some of the top tables as well. So it's not just like new players, if you like. There's some, so it's whether or not people are taking more time to do their turns, or they're doing more time to read cards. Because obviously it's a bit harder to read cards over the webcam. You've got to obviously go on websites or what have you. But like all my games, none of them went to get time or even remotely. I think mine and your game was the longest one, and
Yeah.
that's mostly because it was hand control.
Yeah, and
But
the
even
point,
that,
yeah. And even I don't know. The point is to bleed you dry and I don't know,
yeah,
surgically remove cards from your hand, and that's long. But
but even that didn't go to
yeah,
time.
no. I think we were done in like half an hour.
Yeah. It was my longest game of the day. Because I think we got to turn 5. I want to say turn
Yeah,
6
10-5.
or something like that. Um, and again, that was my longest game, and that still didn't take time. So I don't really, and I wouldn't say I'm a fast player. Like I understand what's going on, but I'm not like when you watch someone like Daehon and they go like mental. I'm just a normal pace player, so I don't know why people take so long, but it is.
Yeah, and with that, with his acknowledgement that he's a normal player, but then again, a great player because he topped. I would like to congratulate you again. Thank you for being here, and I don't know if you have some closing statements to say.
Yeah, sure. So always play Vegeks. Vegeks good deck, but Invoker will always have my heart. Well, Janemba technically will. That's another story. But yeah, just some shout out. So thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I would hope to come back again. Thanks to my team, which is Team North Star, which is a Norwegian team, and Chris is part of that. And me and Chris has been doing very well in PBG. And sadly, I came 16th, but I knocked out my teammate who was 17th as well. So I feel bad to Adnan. So sorry, brother. And then just a shout out to obviously my real life brother who got me in the game, and he originally played Vegeks, but he played it in the broken days. So yeah, I'd like to see him on this version, but he doesn't like it. So yeah,
Someday.
someday I.
Yeah. Guys, that's all. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.